Welcome back to Commentary. I am Ary, and I just bullied the game into doing what I want, or that's how it feels like, by putting the main character in a clown's costume that I designed by hand. I'm still gonna punish her in the way that I'm just gonna let her keep wearing it, but we might find it. I think this is finally the chapter I was waiting for all along, where everything comes to light, or like most of the things. And yeah, I think I saw that this one will have in CG and the next one too, so I think like Gray might my prediction is that Gray might want to punish us in a very not so bad way, probably. I mean, probably next chapter. This chapter will probably be a fight and stuff, and then we talk about it. But I think the next chapter might be what this will be a plus chapter in the release version. So I might have to cut that one or like edit it later, cause like in the Caine chapter, it definitely got too spicy, and it will definitely, from what I've seen of Gray so far, be too spicy for this one though. So. Anyway, let's just continue. I'm just rambling about every time. Kitsune. My old nickname rings through my ears, turning my stomach to lead. I'm uncomfortably aware of Gray beside me, knowing he would have heard what Nikki said, and I dread to wonder what he's thinking right now. Fortunately, I don't have time to linger on it, or to look at Gray's reaction before Nikki is speaking again. We were ambushed, he says between short gasps, struggling to catch his breath. His lip is burst and the front of his shirt has a hole torn in front of it. The Riversiders threatened the owner of the bar. They were waiting for us when we arrived. Huh? Those bastards! Sarah hisses over the noise around us, her eyes fierce. Glancing up and down the street at the sheer number of Riversiders, I swallow around the lump forming in my throat. I can only imagine the kind of welcome that was waiting for them. When my eyes meet Nikki's again, I see nothing on his face but desperation and defeat, and I know what he's about to say before the words have even left his mouth. We've got to take our territory back, Kitsune. We can't just let them take it. I let out a low growl, and kick at a broken bottle on the ground. Just a fraction of damage our rivals have done to our territory. This time I don't falter, not like before. It's one thing to listen to Nikki telling me about the trouble the Riversiders have caused, but seeing it firsthand strokes an old flame within me. Let's put an end to this. I clench my hands into fists at my side, giving Nikki a sharp nod. His expression changes, knowing that this time I'll be standing beside him, and a glimmer of hope sparks in his eyes. Without looking back at the others, I follow my old friend into the street. Ooh, that music! We launch ourselves head first into the fight. The place is in total chaos, and the academy is the one losing side of the battle. I cry out suddenly, avoiding a bottle hurling through the air. The object smashes on the sidewalk behind me. When I sweep the area, searching for the source of the bottle, I meet with a girl who's glaring at me a few paces away, a Riversider who looks a few years younger than I am. Looking for a fight, huh? She comes fast at me, and I only manage to dodge her right hook at the last second, the edge of her fist grazing my chin. I launch back at her with a swift kick that knocks her to the ground. A guy comes to her aid within seconds. He's holding the broken leg from a bar stool in both of his meaty hands. You wish you hadn't done that, the man says with a menacing grin, looking as though he's having the time of his life. We'll see about that, I shoot back at him. I glare between him and the makeshift weapon distastefully. I guess we're not just like little kids anymore who only use their fists. I bring my guard up to protect myself right before the two Riversiders launch themselves at me. Then I duck abruptly, right as the guy barrels straight into my crouching body and loses his balance. falling head over heels and splintering his weapon over the pavement when he goes down in a tangle of limbs. In a split second, I'm on my feet, blocking against the woman's attack. I misjudge my position slightly, and her punch clips me across the jaw, making my head reel. She's definitely stronger than I had anticipated, and I know now that another punch like that could knock me out cold. I have to be careful. I'll be of no use if she manages to take me down. The one advantage I have on my side is speed, so that's exactly what I'm going to use. Is that all you've got? I taunt her, hoping her anger will make her sloppy. It works like a charm. When she attacks me next, I can see she's losing her form. I meet her head on, and I'm surprised at first to find I haven't completely forgotten my old kickboxing training. My muscles, while stiffer than they were, still remember their old routines. But the woman is just as good, and while I haven't fought anyone in a long time, she seems to be in her prime. I'm almost at the end of my rope, panting and out of breath, when I see my lucky break. For just one moment she leaves her abdomen unguarded, and that's where I strike. Oof! Landing a solid punch to her gut as her wheezing and doubling over in pain. Has her. From there, it takes only a well-paced punches to the nose, and she's on the ground, blood spurting between her fingers as she cups her face and howls in pain. Yeah, that's not my kind of life. A loud groan from beside me catches my attention, and I turn to find Gray hurling away the same man I had put down before, the one who had somehow managed to stumble to his feet and had been advancing on me, broken their chair leg raised above his head. The broken chair leg. Okay. Gray throws him to the ground with ease, knocking him out cold. When he steps back and clams his hands together, dusting himself off. A few meters away, Jed has another Riversider landing flat on his back in the dirt, while Sarah fights against another beside him. I gape at the three of them for a moment, so surprised to seeing them join the fight that I almost forget everything that's going on around me. Are we doing this or what? Gray winks at me before jumping back into the fight. Adrenaline from... He's standing up beside the Riversiders, no questions asked, that's interesting. Adrenaline flows through me so thickly that I don't have time to think. I block out everything else, focusing only on my rivals in front of me, They'd be sorry for they ever came here, I make sure of that. Punching and kicking our way through the fold. At first it seems to make little difference against the numbers of the Riversiders have here tonight. As a unit, we carve a path through them, faster and harder until their numbers begin to dwindle. The stragglers eventually begin to run off with their tails between their legs. And it feels good to be doing this again. I glance over at Sarah, her eyes wild and her lips curved upwards. I can tell she feels it too. Gray and Jed are forces to be reckoned with. Two unmovable walls of stone-cold fury fighting their way through the throng alongside us. I can't take my eyes off Gray, marveling at the way his muscles stretch and contract, at the laughter that escapes him when he sends another opponent sprawling to the ground. Kitsune, look out! Nikki shouts right as the wind is knocked out of me. I've sent flying through the air. I barely have time to cry out as a brutish-looking man knocks me to the ground, catching me completely off guard. He must be at least twice my size, and his weight causes me to fall backwards, his shoulder colliding with my face as I land on the pavement, feeling my skin graze against the asphalt. A stream of warmth trickles from my nose, and when it reaches my lips, tasting like metal on the tongue, I know I'm bleeding. In an instant, he's pulled off me, thrown aside by Gray, who descends upon him with bloody knuckles and a scowl sharp enough to kill. He's not laughing anymore, and I see now why people were so terrified of him back in high school. Are you okay? Sarah kneels beside me, touches a hand to my shoulder, her eyes wide with worry. I try to nod, but my face aches so fiercely that all I can manage is a wince of pain. While Gray is busy finishing off his opponent, I chance a glance around, finding the Riversiders all either passed out in the street or having already run off, leaving the academy gang behind to lick their wounds. Then suddenly sirens blare in the background, sending everyone scattering into the night. A small part of my shoulders part of me shudders at the sound. We have to get out of here now! Sarah yells at the rest of us. Gray surges forwards and helps me to my feet before we sprint away from the scene. With my hands in his, we follow Sarah as she leads the way, our footsteps thundering over the pavement, and the sirens giving way to the relentless pounding of my heart in my ears. We skid around the corner and then another, until eventually, instead of concrete, my shoes are sinking into soft green grass. Oh, I remember this scene. This is the ending screen of Neil's route. When we finally stop, catching our breaths beneath the corner of the dark trees, I realize where we are. We're in the park. The same park where we were the night that Gray was arrested all those years ago. I look at him now, and the sweat dripping from his face. Once upon a time I thought he was my biggest rival, and now it seems it's the complete opposite. Not a rival, but an ally, a friend, and maybe something more. You're bleeding, he says after a moment, handing me a small tissue. Oh, does it look bad? I ask him, letting him step closer and step the flow of blood. I don't think it's broken, but you'll probably be left with a pretty nasty bruise. Put your hand here. He instructs, guiding my hand over the tissue and removing his own. Pinch down your nose, it will help. You shouldn't do that, just saying. That's not healthy to do. Just but a scratch, I say with a weak smile, taking the tissue from Grant's hands. He backs away, and I wince as I press it to my nose, the pain now shining through as the adrenaline begins to wear off. Tilting my head back a little to stop the flow of blood, I feel the coppery tang of it sliding down my throat, making me grimace. I lean your head forward instead of back. Wait, what? Gray instructs, taking a slow step towards me. I do as he says, quietly cursing when a gush of blood drips through my fingers. Just let me help. I can't watch this any longer. Gray clicks his tongue at me, both annoyed and amused by the sight. Fine, I say with a pout, letting him cup a hand around my back, at the back of my head, and pinching my nose with the other. Trust me, I'm no stranger to this kind of injury, he adds with a smirk. I say nothing, instead staring glumly off into the distance, as I dread any of the customers coming into the store and seeing the results of tonight's fight on my face. What am I going to do with you? Gray says softly, staring down at me and sighing. That was insane. Jed is staying in the background, letting out a small, disbelieving laugh. Just like the old days, Nicky comments solemnly, his gaze on me and Gray. I can't tell what he's thinking exactly, but from the look of his eyes, I'd say he's starting to piece a few things together. My stomach flutters nervously when I think that he might be not the only one. We should get somewhere safe, Gray says as soon as my bleeding nose is finally under control. We don't know who might still be hanging around. He does a quick assessment of everyone's injuries, and it seems that despite the severity of the fight, we've all gotten off pretty lightly. My place is close by. Let's go there, I say, earning a collective nod from the others. Under the cover of darkness, we head off into the night. I invite everyone up to my home. We all slump down on the sofa and the floor, anywhere we can catch our breath. What happens now? Sarah asks after we had a few minutes to collect ourselves. You think the Riversiders will retaliate? Most likely, Nicky says grimly, grabbing a cushion from the sofa and hugging it against himself. Though at least their numbers will have dwindled after tonight. He looks at Gray and Jed, each of them in turn, as though seeing the two men in a new light. I don't think many of them will be up facing you lot again. Nicky looks towards Gray again, his eyebrows dripping.
Oh.
I thought I'd seen you before, but I couldn't recall where. I remember you. You're the Phantom.
Huh.
The one and only. Gray smirks, and the smile quite doesn't meet his eyes. But the smile doesn't quite meet his eyes. His gaze meets mine, and I look away quickly, purposefully ignoring it. I'm afraid of what I might find in there if I look too long. He knows who I am, there's no doubt about it. The confusing part is, why doesn't he seem more surprised about it? 'Cause he knew for months now! Oh my god! I should get going, Nicky says as he pushes himself to his feet, setting the cushion aside. There's more to do before the night ends. I'll walk you out, I say quickly, joining him at the door. Yeah, he will be like, what the hell? What the hell? We descend the stairs together in silence, speaking only when we're sure we won't be overheard. Did you know that Gray was the Phantom this whole time? Nicky asks, his voice hushed. Dang it, I wanted to say it again! I nod softly, dragging my bottom lip between my teeth anxiously. And does he know who you are? He does now, I say glumly, my eyes trading the floor. Hey, Nicky says with a small smile, and I look up at him. It's a strange situation, but the capo haven't given us any trouble since back in school, and from what I've seen, Gray seems to be a good guy. Yes, isn't it? It's just... I just don't know what to do. This is all such a mess. You should do whatever makes you happy, he says kindly, before his face falls. I'm sorry for dragging you back into all of this, but I didn't feel like I had any other choice. It's okay. I didn't realize how bad things had gotten. I admit, knowing the truth is that I didn't want to know. Maybe the capo will be on our side now, huh? Nicky attempts a small smile. Maybe. I'm giving him a hug at the door. Stay safe out there, Nicky. You too. We'll talk soon, yeah? Oh no, Ivan will take this. Oh no, I forgot that Ivan told me to stay away from the gang and now I helped them. I nod, wishing him a good night, watching him disappear into the alley and turn onto the street. It's only then that I turn to the sound of footsteps on the stairs, seeing Jed and Sarah enter the hallway. We're going to take off too. I'm exhausted, Sarah says, stepping forward to pull me into a hug. You're welcome to stay here if you want, I mumble against her shoulder, knowing that part of me is dreading what's coming, and especially having to face it alone. Thanks for the offer, but I think there's a few things we need to talk about. Oh, Jed says, giving Sarah a meaningful look as she releases me. And it seems like you need to have a conversation of your own, Sarah adds, brushing past me with a grimace. I sigh in defeat. Or I could just run away and never come back. You and I both know you're not going to do that. Sarah teases softly, nodding her head towards the stairs. Talk to him. Jed glances towards the ceiling before turning and giving me a half smile. Good luck, he says, following Sarah through the door, where they both disappear into the night. I lock the door behind them, taking a moment to steel my nerves and prepare myself for the conversation to come. Then, after taking in a deep breath to steady myself, I head back upstairs. This will be awkward. When I reach the living room, I find Gray standing with his back to me. I hesitate, unsure how to start this conversation. It seems, however, that I don't have to. Kitsune, he says quietly, turning and fixing me with those sharp eyes of his. Now that it's just the two of us alone, I can feel a shift in the air. This conversation is going to happen, whether I want it or not. I mean, both are true, but... I'm sorry I didn't tell you earlier, I say slowly, stepping further into the room. So am I. The disappointment that crosses his face is so immense that I feel the unbidden tears prickle at the back of my eyes. I was afraid of this. Afraid that it would change things between us. And I didn't want that to happen. What did you think would happen? You'd just continue lying to me and everything would turn out fine? Gray snaps, his temper getting out the better of him. I know you're smarter than that. I knew this would happen eventually. What else was I supposed to do? Talk to me! Gray lashes out in frustration before reeling himself back in just as fast, the muscles in his jaw faltering as he pins me with a crushing stare. I would have listened. I watched him shakily, my tongue sitting uselessly in my mouth as a full range of emotions washed over him. He runs a hand over his face and sighs. Now I see just how exhausted he looks by all of this. I've known for a while now, Ary, he says softly, and I falter, my eyes going wide. You knew? Of course he knew! I managed to gasp my chest seizing uncomfortably. He nods, circling the sofa and taking a seat, leaning his arms and legs on... Okay, wait. I'm gonna go back. I didn't want you to find out this way, I blurt out, stepping further into the room. How else would I have found out? He asked with a bite in his tone. Were you ever going to tell me? Eventually, yes, I said defensively. I just didn't know how. Gray scoffs, his anger shown by the flush of red crawling up his neck. I'll tell you how, Ary. It goes like this. Gray, I just wanted to... wait. I'll tell you how, Ary. It goes like this. Gray, I just wanted to tell you that the old leader of the academy gang, you know, the one that got you arrested and kicked out of school for trying to fight? Well, that was me. I didn't mean to get you arrested, I cry out. I didn't. What else was I supposed to do? Talk to me! Gray lashes out in confusion, in frustration, before reeling himself back just as fast, the muscles in his jaw feathering as he pins me with a crushing stare. I would have listened. I watched him shakily, my tongue sitting uselessly in my mouth as a full range of emotions wash over him. He runs a hand over his face and sighs, and now I see just how exhausted he looks by all of this. I've known for a while now, Ary, he says softly, and I falter, my eyes going wide. You knew? I managed to gasp, my chest seizing uncomfortably. He nods, circling the sofa and taking a seat. Leaning his arms on legs, he sits Leaning his arms on legs, he sits forward, his gaze piercing. How long? I demand in a whisper. He hesitates, and a feeling of dread comes over me. Since the day the box arrived from your parents. I saw the old photos of you and Sarah. Why didn't you tell me? Yeah, he was waiting for you to tell him, for you to be ready. Because I was waiting until you trusted me enough to confide in me. I hoped you would. I don't reply to that. I don't know what to say. I know I screwed up, keeping up with this lie the entire time. I kept avoiding it for so long until it really made... unable to really make myself say it. Scared, really. Is that why you kept asking me if I trusted you? That's why you were mad at me, isn't it? He nods, short and sharp. I look down, knowing I don't have the right to say anything. I kept answering his questions about trust without much of a thought. And every single time, I was not being truthful. I admit, I didn't trust you at first. My former rival, I was trying to get away from all of that. We're adults now, Ary. What did you think was going to happen? I don't know. I felt so awful having to tell you I was the reason you got kicked out of school. I didn't even want to fight. And even if I find out you and then I find out you and Ivan are friends. We're not friends. Ivan is good for business, Gray says slowly, carefully. Business? I draw the word out. At the look of guilt on Gray's face, something clicks. What is it you really do in the basement? He takes on a couple of steps towards me, his hand out in front of him, looking torn. Is that really important at the moment? It's all connected. I let you use that basement because I felt guilty for what I did.
Huh?
Guilty? But not enough to tell me the truth, right? He rounds on me, his tone sharp. You've tried to keep me in the dark for months. If I hadn't found out that day, I don't believe you would have ever told me that you were secretly my biggest rival in high school. That's not true. He stops and fixes me with a hard stare, his jaw clenching tight. I trusted you, despite knowing who you were. All I wanted was for you to be honest with me. Something about those words shattered me inside. He's right. Completely right. Shame and anger wash over me, making my eyes well up, but this is no time to feel sorry for myself. I was wrong not telling you. I was wrong to not tell you. I'm ashamed of what I did, who I was, and I didn't mean for things to get this far. What a mess. I let out a heavy breath and leaned back against the wall, unsure of how to feel. That is it. I agree. How to get out of this mess. How to even begin to mend this relationship. Let's start being honest, Gray. When he looks up, I suck in a breath. He knows the truth about me, and now it's time I learn the truth about him. The whole truth. I want to know what you're doing in my basement. His jaw clenches tight, but after a few moments he relents with a nod of his head. Fine. Let me show you. Also, you should tell him that you didn't plant a knife on him. Okay, well, this is, well, that's the end of the chapter, as you can see. I'm happy that this is finally out. Wait, did we get a CG? Oh, so the CG comes now. Okay, never mind then. I thought it was this chapter. I was confused for a second. Anyway, yeah. See you next time for CG and like some truth, finally. And probably some steamy time too. Like this chapter or the next. That's it. See you next time. Bye!